Welcome to online lectures by CA Studies. For more lectures online, please do visit castudies.lk.
Fine. Then we'll move on to qualities of good information. Qualities. What are the qualities of good information? Okay. So, they have specified around 10 qualities to good information. Okay. Why they want to let us know what is a good information, what is bad, why does it have, what can an information do? Can it hurt us? It can, right? It can, not emotionally of course, but it can hurt making a wrong decision. Okay, that's why they want us to know what makes an information a quality information. Okay, first one is they say it should be relevant. Relevant means it should meet the purpose of the person receiving it. True, no? You are expecting some idea, let's say about BL6 exam from your friend who did it previously. But he is telling you about BL8. So it is meaningless. Or he is telling about BL2, which is like referring just one step below management accounting subject. So he is telling you about BL2. So will you get perfect idea? No. You will still find, but what about BL6? You will still question because your aim is to get information about BL6 subject. That is called relevance. Relevant information. Another example. Examiner asks you a question and you write something which is not specified in the question, and that's where you lose marks also, like we lose marks, right? So you should always find why the examiner is asking that question or what he is expecting. Then only you can give the relevant answer. That is why relevance of an information is very important. Okay? Now to make it relevant, information must be complete also. Complete means what? Now take the same example. So your friend is explaining about BL2 and BL8. So he is like saying, so maybe BL6 also like this. I did only, but he is in a hurry, he is telling you. So he is not telling exactly about BL6. But now after few questions you are asking from him, he is saying okay, BL6 also an MCQ paper and has 50 questions. Yeah, he stops there. Okay. Then you might think okay, MCQ 50 question, okay, 2 marks each. Now you will have other questions, right? And now he let's say he stopped and he went. Now you can't access that person again. After 1 month only you can meet. So till 1 month you don't know, you are not confirmed about the number of hours set for the paper allowed for your exam. That is one. Second thing, you don't know what type of question, what area will they can test from us. And you don't know how a student would feel when answering a question paper in real exam scenario. What are the pressures, how the invigilators check us, all of that you don't know. So that information is incomplete because again it didn't answer your question fully. It didn't answer the purpose of your question. Because The purpose of your question is you want to sit for the BL6 exam and you want to be ready and get full marks at the first attempt. So you want to know properly what is the BL6, how many hours, what are the pressures you faced as a student when you are doing the exam, how the teachers were, which class did you go to. Without those, you can't make a judgment, isn't it? That is called lack of completeness. That the person, your friend, didn't tell you enough information for you to make a decision. That is called lack of completeness. Therefore, it's important for an information to be complete. Okay? It should be complete. Next, accurate. It should be accurate. Accuracy always comes when it comes to calculation. Non-financial information also has accuracy, but like directly if we say accuracy, people think about financial information. So remember like that. So whenever you prepare financial information, I am not talking about financial accounts only, I am talking about management accounts related information of a financial nature. That's what I am emphasizing. So accuracy means whatever the monetary items you present must be accurate. Best example is like you have 100,000 sales, you missed a zero at the end and showed 10,000 sales. So that will become a big problem, isn't it? Why? The person who did lacked accuracy. That's why accuracy is a key part of information. Next, clarity. Clarity means let me first tell you in a normal scenario and then in the business scenario. In the normal scenario, let's say in the exam, you write your answer, you have last 5 minutes. And you write your answer like at super speed because you have 3 questions left. And they are of, let's say 10 marks each. And 5 minutes. So now you are trying to save yourself at least to pass. So you are writing it super speed that your letters go like this, like this. And this is G and you get H, right? So can the examiner read this? No. But you have communicated something. This is information. Somehow letter is ugly but information. But the examiner cannot read because you are not clear. You have not written clearly. That's why clarity is very important. So you won't get marks. Then the purpose, your aim as a student is to get marks. That's why you answered the question. But if it is not clear, can you get marks? No. Again, your purpose is not met because of unclarity. So, no clarity, right? That's on a normal context. Let's take on an organization perspective where now when we prepare budgets, okay, we have a lot of estimates, no? When it comes to budgets, they are all futuristic, targeting the future. You can't say actuals for a future period, right? You should come to some future assumptions and only get the future figures. Those future assumptions, can miss accuracy, are at high risk of accuracy. High risk of accuracy. Why? What type of assumption you will make? Inflation rate, isn't it? Then interest rate. what else? Some other percentage changes you will make. So let's say you estimated that your inflation rate is going to increase by like say 10%. Then then you raised your cost, everything you made it to nominal values where you know reflecting inflation within the calculation of your budget. Okay, so your cost, right, you increase your cost by the 10% inflation. Of course you can't predict only, but now instead of so when you are doing your calculation, now let's say you have several adjustments to do and only you are getting the multiplying it by 10%. Let's say you are taking it for a department wise, then product wise, and then only you go for the final total cost by multiplying by the number of units. Let's say you have very big processes, process A to D, then your product moves from C to D, and then only finally to E. Now these all process cost you have to take, no? Everything, all the process cost you have to consider using this inflation rate. Let's say for example, okay, some inflation rate you are incorporating. So many calculations, right? Then somehow you didn't show how you got your final cost. You said my final cost is 20 rupees per unit. In your management report, management accounts report, you are saying that. Then your senior manager looks and says, okay, 20 per unit, but I would want to know how you got the 20 per unit. And you just show some shortcut from D to E only, how it came you showed and how you adjusted inflation and other rates, and you are saying 20. Then the manager will say, but we have 5 departments now. Then where's the rest 3 departments cost? What happened to it? We want to know there. But management accountant forgot to put it. Then what your senior manager might think? He might think you lied, right? He might think, he can think. If you are an honest person, he might not straight away go for such assumption. He might think that you are incompetent. Why? Because you didn't show the cost, like you didn't properly, clearly present it to your manager. So that creates doubts in the management about your quality of work. That's why clarity is very important even in a management report. Also, same applies to financial report, any report. Alright? Okay. And then we have next, confidence. Confidence means information must be trustworthy, similar to clarity. As I said previously, since you have shown only department D to E, what is the cost interchange, and then how you arrived at the final cost, but you didn't say how A to B, A to C, how the costs were transferred. So management, if it's a bad like if you also have done some fraudulent thing, like immediately they will think you are lying to us, right? But that's why, to make your information more trustworthy, like I am able to trust this information because it is very clear to me, and they have showed how they got each and every figure. That will improve the confidence of the person reading it, and as the confidence improves, the importance of that information also will be very high. Fine. So that's confidence. Next is communication. Communication means you have to come. Now you might know something, but you don't tell the other person. Is there a meaning for the such information? No, right? Information is very useful when it is communicated to the other person. Example, budgets, right? Budgets they have set for each department, this is your budget, and they gave it, they communicated with their sales staff. But they didn't communicate the actual amounts as they lived through the months. They didn't communicate the actual amount for that product for each department. Then the sales manager of each department doesn't know whether I am within the budget or outside the budget. Like actually, how much did I spend? Maybe more than the budget. He doesn't know because the actual accounts were not communicated to the sales manager. So that's why communication is important to any individual, and to make effective information you must communicate. Then you have volume. Okay, best example is this. In your research reports, when you do management research reports, the number of words they restrict, right? Sometimes when you take reports and stuff, they limit the word to 3000 words length per assignment. Why do they limit? Because there is a physical and mental limit to read and understand aspects within a short period of time. Of course, maybe we can read 1000 books in a year, but it's in a year, not in a month. That's why limit and volume has very important role in an effective information. Always when you provide information, provide it short and sweet. That's what they expect. But don't give too less, don't give too much. Always average information with useful points that will directly fit the purpose of that information. Only you should communicate, right? So with that we finish volume. Next, timing. Again very simple. If you provide information after your deadline, is it valid? No, right? It is not valid. It always should be before the deadline. Let's say for example, you want to decide now, your customer is demanding for your product. Then you want raw materials to produce that product. So you decided I want to buy from maybe supplier A, B and C. I want to see who are the best out of A, B and C. Then you ask your juniors or your executives to give quotation, request quotation from the supplier before 10th of January. January, okay. You are saying that to them on 2nd of January, right? Very short period, right? Maybe you are following a just-in-time process, something like that, and then now you want your goods quickly. So, 3 executives were there. Now, for 3 suppliers, A, B, C, and there were 3 people. Nimal, Kamal, and let's say Tom, right? So these 3, first Nimal, he sends the email to the supplier, okay, requesting for quotation. All 3 suppliers, he sends an email on the 2nd itself. Kamal also sends an email, let's say on the 4th, right? But this Tom, he sends an email on the 9th. Lazy guy. Okay. Now, let's say, okay, these three people, right, they are focusing on A, B and C. Let's assume likewise, okay. So, each one for each supplier. Okay. So, Nimal will get definitely second email. Let's say suppliers reply days, you might notice even if you put a mail to CA Sri Lanka or a professional body, they always say that they will communicate the information to you within 2 working days. Same likewise, supplier also will state, maybe let's say 2 working days. Then second sent email will be replied 3rd, 4th, right, or 5th. And 4th one, 5th or 6th or 7th. This one on the 11th. So, what do you all think? Who's in trouble? Tom. Why? He gets the information after 10th Jan, which by 10th Jan they should choose a supplier and immediately send it to the production process to produce the raw material and then to finish goods to produce it using the raw material. And let's say on one day we can make and send, right, or maybe 11th January only is the customer order. We are following a JIT system where you immediately get your raw material and produce your item for the customer. So, in that scenario, the procurement manager has information only about A and B and not about C, because C's information comes on the 11th, which is too late. It is after the deadline. That's why it's very important for you to provide information before your deadline, and that is why timing of information is very important, because C's information is no longer valid. It is no longer valid, isn't it? Because he is providing on 11th. 10th we have to action, but he is providing on 11th. So procurement manager will decide only based on A and B's quotations, ignoring C, which could be also a loss for the business. Maybe C is really profitable and quality, but unfortunately due to the missed timing, we missed our best quotation, right? So that's why timing of information is very important for a company. Then we have 9th one, channels of communication. How channels of communication means how you will communicate with your external and internal parties. Example, a shareholder or a manager, someone in a senior position, you might address via maybe you will call for a specific meeting to have a verbal conversation, or you might send emails, right? Professional email. And also, if you're sharing confidential information must be shared through a confidential channel. You can't share information through to all, like say employee 1 to tell employee 2 about a very important information. That is a simple example to say like it is not right, because employee 1 also gets to know about that information. It's a secret kind of, confidential means like secret information. So, since the information is of high importance, you got to maybe document it via maybe online channels, which are emails, like which are very encrypted stuff with the online protection, and and without copying the right seniors, right individuals, and carefully selecting the person to whom you send your email to. Okay, so looking at such aspects, you have to deliver your message through the right channel. That is needed for a quality information. If it is spread, if the information is spread or leaked out to everyone, will it be quality? No, it's because it lost its importance. Because it was initially a confidential information. Confidential informations are of high importance, but because it got leaked, the importance is lost. Fine. And then you got finally cost. Now, when it comes to cost, what they are saying is, if you spend more time to find the information than the benefit you gain from that information, it is not valid. Like, it is valid but not very effective, because you spend lot of time to find an information that gives a small idea, not a effective and important idea. Example, simple example, you let's say you are doing an assignment, and you have to provide information about maybe about a shop, and only about the number of customers who come to the shop, and how satisfied they are with dealing with sole traders, something, just example. Okay, but to find that, now you're going to get, let's say you're going to get only out of 100 10 marks for it, but you're spending like 3-4 days to gather information about that shop and the customers and their viewpoint for 10 marks out of 100. Let's say that assignment's just 10 marks. Is it valid? Your effort is also valuable, right? So you should use yourself wisely according to the requirement. That's what they mean by cost. So in an organization perspective also, like costs of collecting and analyzing information in terms of time and money should not be greater than the benefit of such information. That you should remember, and they've given this diagram of marginal cost and marginal benefit. So you should always have a perfect information where this is cost and this is benefit. This is your optimum level of information. So at this point of information, your cost and benefit is equal, right? You can't, like when it goes to very advanced methods only, you will like be able to analyze like how much of a cost, especially research companies, like Gartner, such companies, their business is doing research, market research, and selling those data to companies. Maybe Google also must be such a research company maybe, but I know Gartner, if you Google and see, they are a research company. So their research, they will do this because they are finding information, and then they will see whether the cost of finding, the time we are spending, and the number of labors we are paying, number of employees we pay to get such information, and the benefit revenue we receive from selling such information, is it valid, is it viable, is what they will always look at. On a normal business, let's say a manufacturing business or something like that, they won't go to analyze costs and benefits like that. They will, like, I mean, mathematically they will not draw graphs and all of that practically, but they will just have an idea of, okay, how much time he spent on this work, is it effective, such ways they will decide. So that's the practical impact in an organization that is not a research organization. Fine. With that, with that we finish qualities of good information, the fourth section. Okay, so next we will be focusing on types of information, levels, and then the planning, how the planning of such information will take place, and the levels of planning, and finally on control systems. So for today, let's stop from here, and hope to meet you all at the next video.
Thank you for watching the video. Stay tuned with castudies.lk for more lectures online.